Same again, pull back the hammers. Lot quicker. Now we're getting into the modern day now. The problem with this is that the pins would occasionally bend and it became hard to get the cartridges out, which was a drawback. But because it was quicker and a breech loader, it was now a lot more effective. The time span of the pin fire wasn't very long. It was in general loose by 1850, but by 1860 a gentleman called Dawes developed the centre fire. On the back of the cartridge you'll see the primer, and that's Dawes centre fire, and everybody uses that today in rifle cartridges and in shotgun cartridges. And once you've got your cartridge, you just pop it into the gun. You've still got the hammers, but we're now talking centre fire. Is this the Lancaster?
No, this is my Horsley, Thomas Horsley of York. One of the things they had with the shotgun cartridge when it first was invented, with a pin fire, once you fired the gun, you could drop the barrels forwards. But with the centre fire, what we've got here, is once you pull the trigger, we take it for granted now that the firing pin retracts. But they hadn't invented it by those days. So this gun was 2 shots and throw it away. Because having fired it, you couldn't bring the firing pins back out the base of the cartridge to get it to work. So they came up with all sorts of different inventions. This one has a cantilever on the hammer, and until it's on half cock, you can't open the barrel. But once you've got it at half cock, open the barrel, drop the cartridge in, put it on the full cock, and this gun will fire like a modern day gun. But I cannot now open that gun because the firing pins are wedged forwards. So I have to put it back onto half cock before I can then turn the lever and withdraw the cartridges. They came up with a huge number of different ways of getting around that.
This is the next stage. Still got floating firing pins on it. This is still a pin fire action, which they built into centre fire, but it has reboundable hammers. The hammers don't drop and stay down, they actually go down and then spring back, which allows the striker to free from the cartridge. I was going to fire this, Chris. Can you?
You want some pin fires?
No. I want some. I want someone to talk a minute. You can explain.
I can explain. Yes. Basically, what happens with the rebounding hammer is as it falls onto the nipple of the firing mechanism, when it hits it, it then just rebounds back slightly. They are spring loaded, and it will go. And that means that that gun can now be opened without the firing pins getting in the way. Now all we needed to do, having done all that, to come up to date, was to stick the hammers inside the gun.
Right, this was done by Manton and Dealey, and they first produced a hammerless gun as a box lock in 1875. But a lot of people, a lot of gun makers, what you had is you had to get over the patent. Because if you designed a type of action, you would then patent it. If it became used to let somebody else make it, you would then let them make it under license so you could make money. So the gun trade, we had the Industrial Revolution was going on. We were designing steam engines, where we were designing the locomotive and the steam engines, and Isambard Kingdom Brunel was designing his ships. So all this modern engineering was beginning to happen, beginning to go on. So the gun trade had to develop with it, and the engineering developed, and the gun makers tried to get over their rivals' patents by designing new types of guns. There was a lot of different types of sets of hammerless guns around, and Manton and Dealey got together and produced a simple, machinable box lock that the average person could buy off the street. Same again, breech loader, with a mechanism inside, no hammers, with a safety on it for safety. Oh, I'm getting married.
And ejectors.
And also, they'd had a few ejector cartridges with the hammer gun, but with the hammerless, everybody wanted ejectors. Side locks, box locks, all then became ejectors. So the cartridge would then throw out. So if you stood on a peg and you got pheasants coming over the top of you, or if you sat in a pigeon eye and you got pigeons screaming in, you don't have to worry about taking the cartridges out. Just open the gun, it flings them out, and then you just pop in another couple. Then they put the barrels one on top of the other that they mainly use today.
Sorry?
This is called an under and over. Under and overs aren't anything new, but because it's machine made, they can be easily machine made, and it'll take the hammering of thousands and thousands of cartridges. Very strong action.
That's good toilet paper.
Cracking stuff. Recycled toilet paper. Do that.
Yes.
Now, let's go back to the flintlock, and we'll show how long it takes to load.
Oh God, you are pushing your luck, aren't you?
Now then, what we have to do is, we've seen how good the modern cartridge is. Just pop the cartridge in, close the gun up, point the gun and pull the trigger. And with a bit of practice you hit what you're firing at.
Okay, we're ready to go, so we'll start off and we'll just dump a little bit of powder down each barrel, and hopefully our bunny rabbit is in the field and he's not in a great rush. So we'll take a little bit of toilet paper and we'll shove it down for our wadding. Hopefully the rabbit's still there. Just ram the wadding home, make sure it sits nicely on top.
Unless you got another one in it.
And on the second one. And then again, we'll just drop our full weight charge of shot down each barrel. And again, we'll just shove some more wadding just to keep the shot in place, to stop it rolling out. So, there we go, we're nearly ready to go. The rabbit's still there, anybody? So, right, we're nearly ready. All we need to do now is to prime the pan. Where's my priming powder? Have you seen my priming powder? It's obviously going on the floor somewhere, I suspect. My little primer has gone. Never mind, I shall use a bit of powder out of my flask. It was down there somewhere, it's obviously rolled off. So we're still going, still a bit of powder in the pan now. And then we've got it, I'll give it a quick tap, make sure we've got some powder going down each side. Right, where's the rabbit? 1 out of 2, and that is not unusual for the gun to fail to fire. I'll try and put a bit more powder in. And the problem with this one now is the flint is getting warm. It's only good for about 20-30 shots. Spring's getting a bit weak, and it's not going to go bang. It obviously doesn't like me. We'll do a little bit of metal work on it. And you'll be doing this in the field all the time, trying to get your gun to go. We're assuming, of course, that your rabbit, just found the priming powder, is still around.
Can I just say something a minute? You use a flint
There we go.
on this. If you look at a huntsman's jacket, you know the huntsman's got a red coat on? It's called hunting pink. Well, on the jacket, over his right hand pocket, you'll find there's a little pocket, looks like a little key pocket, and that is actually for keeping flints in, and it's called a flint pocket, and that was when they were using flintlocks and using them for hunting. Right, how are we doing, Chris?
Well, what would you like to do next?
Right.
Really, that brings us up to date, because we have now your modern side-by-side. I think the important thing that I would like to stress today is that in a gun, which is 200 years old, a sporting gun, a gun that's 150 years old, and then a modern side-by-side or under and over, there is nothing new. The mechanism, the engineering is the same. These barrels are Damascus. They're made of iron and steel. What they did is they sent young boys around the streets, pick up horseshoes, horseshoe nails. They drop them into a furnace, get them to heat them up red hot, start beating them with a hammer, beat them around a mandrel to produce the barrels. These barrels and these barrels made the same way. The locks internally are identical. Just a slight change of the hammer and the way that we've changed the firing mechanism. And when we look at a modern side-by-side gun, the only difference between this gun and a modern side-by-side is they moved the hammers to the inside. But inside the gun, you'll find it's laid out pretty much the same. So there is nothing new in shooting. Everything that you see here has been going on since this man, the master of gun makers, Mr. Manton, started producing guns back in the 1700s.
The other thing we've got to design, shotgun isn't any good without lead shots. Now originally, you either had to cast the shot, which was time consuming and costly, or they would use something called rolled shot. They would cut the lead into cubes and then roll it between rollers or stones to make it round. Once again, it took a long time and it was costly. Then in the late 1700s, a plumber from Bristol is said to have had a dream of lead falling like rain. So he then thought about this and they came up with the idea of melting lead from a height and then dropping it. And it's what's called drop shot, which is how all lead shot is produced today. But in Bristol, the buildings weren't very high. They were only 2 or 3 stories. And he wanted it higher than that. So he went down to St Mary Redcliffe in Bristol, must have had a chat with the vicar, and said, "Can I borrow your tower?" So the first lead shot that was dropped was from St Mary Redcliffe Church in Bristol. Then the Navy got hold of it. He only had a 3-storey house. He then built another 3 stories onto it around the St Mary Redcliffe area in Bristol, and then started producing drop shot, which the Navy was very interested in because we were having a few little problems with French. So once you had the shots and the lead shot, you could then produce a reasonably priced gun that could be used by everybody.
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. All the guns on the table here that you've seen, the Manton, the Pinfire, the Thomas Horsley and the Beach, they're all available for you to look at closer in the tent, which is next, just the other side of the NRA air rifle range, part of Bristol Measure and Breech Loading Gun Club's display. We also have an awful lot of military muskets for you to look at, so please feel free to come on, have a chat, ask any questions, and we'll see what we can do. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time.